stats about markets falling apart in other states. I just thought we'd set the baseline here in California, and I find this stat pretty amazing. This is Property Radar. This is 4,634 properties that are underwater. And that was listed on the MLS. Well, let me go back. Let me just go back to the state of California. And we've got underwater 440,491 properties. I knew that first number looked low. So we've got if we X out of that, we have 440. It's going to be like 13 million. Well, it's taking a while. So let me just explain. That 440,000 number that is out of 13 million was, I think I did the math earlier, it was about 3.2% of the properties in California are underwater. And I am pretty sure that that number right here is low. And if it pops in there with the data, that would be good. If it did live, no, it didn't. Because when you think about the data, Property Radar says that this is based on properties being less than they worth than less than they owe. Sorry, I've been talking all day. So if you understand data, normally pendings, sales, and closes take a month or two to kick back into the data to show where we actually are. And reports on the ground, talking to realtors is, and I've been hearing this, and I'm actually hearing it when you're talking to your friends, to your daughters or your son's friends at, say, soccer games. They're saying their friends are realtors, and sometimes these are realtors. They're all saying that, not all, but many are saying they think that this market might be on the edge of falling apart. So I think that underwater number is a very significant concern. Now let's see if we can get into pre-foreclosures here. Yeah, we got 10,672 in pre-foreclosure. And that number is interesting because now with the federal laws, there's a 4-month period before, that's a cooling off period before you can file an NOD in California. So California also had a 30-day cooling off period, but that's absorbed into the 4 months. So these people that are at this 10,672 number, if the lenders are doing their job, these people have already not been paying on their loans for over 4 months. So I think when people are, what they're seeing, and we've gotten calls on this, there's areas where the builders have been, when we're bringing up, like we're saying, we're trying to talk to them and say, well, it's not unusual. We're seeing this issue. They're like, no kidding. We're all underwater in my neighborhood, and there's 15 houses for sale. I mean, it's happening in areas of California right now, which is why I made my video about what is in part contributing to this, and that was the fact that the builders and the lenders, they're getting sued now in other states at the very least for collusion, in that they were helping builders keep the prices high by letting the builders buy down the interest rates and also finding other ways to keep their actual, like sometimes they were even not calculating in the anticipated property taxes on the sale price. They were using the property taxes based on the lot value, which allowed people to qualify for a higher price because their payments were lower. And then can you imagine what happens when you saw on your loan payments and your estimates what your property taxes were going to be, and it was based on raw land, and it was going to be adjusted up once the price of the home gets put on there? Can you imagine what that's doing? And then when you think about buyers realtors being incentivized by the builders to bring their clients to those properties, when we just had all those class action suits in which the DOJ brought up the fact that you shouldn't be, that it could be a breach, you could be causing a breach of the fiduciary duties of a buyer's agent when you incentivize them with percentage-based commissions, because you're saying we'll pay you more if your buyer pays more, and it turns out they were buying overpriced properties. Like, anybody who understands economics, or anyone who is working with buyers and understands through years and years of practice that people are buying a mortgage payment frequently, they're going in, seeing what they qualify for and saying, what's the best What's the highest price home I can qualify for? So, in realtor terms, experienced realtor terms, they're saying people aren't buying a house, they're buying a payment. And whatever that payment is the house they buy. So when you understand that because interest rates are being bought down, it allows them to buy a higher priced home than they would otherwise. So if 6% is the real number, then they're only going to qualify, let's say, for a 500. And this is, I should have done the math, but let's say 6% would allow them to qualify for a home at 500,000. If you buy it down to 3%, they might qualify for a home at, I don't know, 500,050 or $600,000. So these buy downs were allowing people, lenders, to keep their homes overpriced. And they knew people weren't buying at those prices. So they're like, well, let's buy down the interest rates. And then they have the realtors coming in, and the realtors are getting paid on that higher number rather than the real number could be. And they're getting paid a percentage basis. This is a massive issue of collusion. And I think that people who are being caught in this, whether underwater or foreclosure, should really investigate the options they have with respect to getting out of these properties. My name is John McConnon. I'm a real estate attorney and a broker in California, and we are going to be updating this sort of information at my website at upsidedownrealestate.com. Now, I'm quite concerned about this new attorney advertising rule, but if this is attorney advertising, we all have a problem. This was data, and I'm telling people they probably have options in there if they're in those neighborhoods. Once again, John McConnon, thanks for talking with you.